Awesome. All right, so I think it's a good time to call the meeting to order. It is 6:01 p.m. And do we want to have everybody say hi real quick and say who they are? I'm Mo. I'm the code officer for the town of South Thomaston.
All
I'm
right,
Bob
I'll go
Nordstrom.
next.
Oh, excuse me. Go right ahead.
I'm Catherine Bentheim. I live in South Thomaston and I'm the alternate right now on the board.
I'm Bob Nordstrom. I'm a new member. I live on Sprucehead Island in South Thomaston.
Menicus, planning board member.
I'm Gabe Tomasulo. I live also on Dublin Road, and I'm been a planning board member for a little while now.
My name's Irv Curtis, and I live on Homeport Avenue. And I've been on the planning board about 5 years now.
Jim and Tina Hendricks.
Hello.
Hi,
Nice to
folks.
meet you all.
Nice to meet you.
Owen Casas, I'm the town administrator. I'm here just in a viewing measure.
All right, perfect. So why don't we get to the first order of business, which is election of a chair. Do I have any nominations?
I would like to nominate Irv Curtis as a senior member of the board. I think he has a lot of experience.
Alrighty, can you state your name so I can write you for the nomination?
I am Bob Nordstrom.
Thank you. And do I have a second?
Second. From Ryan
who-
Menicus.
Alrighty, thank you, Ryan. Is there any other nominations? Alrighty, I take that pause. There's no other nominations at this time. Could we do a quick vote, yes or no, and then your last name or whatever you want to use to state who you are for your vote?
Sure.
What's from I?
Tomasulo, aye.
Ryan Menicus, aye.
Catherine Bentheim, aye.
Irv Curtis, aye.
Fantastic.
Surprise.
So the ayes have had it. So now, Irv, if you will, do you have the agenda available so you can take over the meeting?
I think so. Let me see. Printed out a lot of stuff today.
No worries.
Okay, have it here, election of officers. So I guess we need to get nominations for vice chairman. Any nominations for vice chairman?
I
Is anybody
nominate
interested in
Ryan
doing it?
Menicus for vice chairman.
Okay, Ryan,
Second.
Okay.
any other nominations for vice chairman? If you're all in favor, you can,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear who she nominated.
I got nominated, Bob.
Very good, Ryan.
Ryan.
Who
I
was the
guess-
second on that?
That was me, Mo. Gabe
Who are you?
Tomasulo.
It doesn't,
Gabe.
well, okay, Gabe, thank you.
So I guess I'll, Gabe, go ahead.
I vote aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
and Catherine.
Aye.
Okay. I had a quick question. Are we doing a secretary as well?
Not at this time. Let's
this time.
move forward with our, well, we can do that at the next meeting. We need to talk about some bylaws.
Okay. One other question I have right now is normally the board had 5 members, active members, and we have currently 4, and Catherine's an alternate. So we probably should have one more member. Is that correct?
I agree. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So can I make a motion that we nominate Catherine to be a full board member? Or is that something the selectmen need to do?
Nope, that's something that
Yeah, I would actually say that we hold off on any sort of elevation on membership, but Catherine is fully able to vote when there is not, when there's any open seats. So Catherine can vote on any item that is moved and seconded as an alternate member. She's basically a member right now because there isn't the full full members. But
Okay.
we can talk about and get the board. The board would just have to change that appointment from alternate member to full member. But for the remainder of this meeting, she can participate as though she is a full member because there's that vacancy.
Okay.
Phew.
Okay, you wanted to go, I'll let you go ahead with your, you want to go over some procedures, you said?
So at some point within our next meeting, I think that I'll send you all some details in regards to our bylaws that we have. And I think it's something we need to go over and have clarified. There's some discrepancies in them that have been brought up to the select board. And there's basically some of the bylaws say we need a secretary, some don't. There's just some tweaking that we, that the planning board can do that might help clarify a lot of things. So I can send you guys the details on that to follow up at a future meeting. So I think that the next thing that we're on, would you like my report?
Sure. Go
All
ahead.
right. So the only call of action for today is what has been brought forward by the Hendricks in regards to their property and what they would potentially like to do as a project there. I've sent all those details back and forth to you guys. So if you want to, that's the only thing that I have on my part for the agenda, planning board wise.
Okay, this is what they were asking for here is basically a special exemption from the planning board to construct their wedding venue down on 131. I think that is a R2 or R1. I was trying to figure that out earlier. Zoning there.
That is.
Can I actually raise a point on that? The shoreland zoning map is available online, but the land use zoning is not, I don't believe. It'd be helpful if that could be
That would
posted.
be.
I believe it is online.
I
On
can
the
only,
town website, you mean?
yeah, I couldn't find the zoning one, like R1, R2. I could find the shoreline.
Oh,
zoning.
the actual map. No, that wasn't there on that big
Okay,
handout.
I can work with Owen on that and give you guys an update.
Yeah.
Right.
That
There
would
is
be
a
helpful.
color
Thank you.
map go for that. My question is do you know if it's in an R2 or R1 zone?
I can look real quick. Bear with me a moment.
Yeah. Doesn't make much difference for what they're asking for. Just curious. Make sure.
Yeah. All right, so it's 4.4 and 4.5. Bear with me while I don't know if it cuts my video out or not while I'm searching this, but I'm going on to Vision right now.
Okay.
You can continue and I'll let you know as soon as I find out the exact details.
Okay.
I had one more comment actually about the availability of the zoning map, which is, and I'm not sure if this was covered, but the intention of the ordinance review committee was to attach both the shoreland zoning and the regular land use map to the updated ordinance that was approved at the June 30th town meeting. And on the website, currently it just shows the shoreland zoning as part of that document, but it was intended to be included as part of the package that you get when you open the land use ordinance. So I don't know what the procedure is for correcting that.
Nope,
That would be
you
the
just let me
changes,
know
right?
what you want me changed in that, and I will go ahead and do that. And I'm
Okay.
sorry, I had to take care of something for a little bit there, but I am now back in with you all. And Mo, I can look up
I just
anything and
found it.
then screen share if you want me to.
All right, it's R2 zoning for clarification.
Okay. So this R2 is permissible for commercial enterprise down there. It's not in the shoreland zoning area. It looked like on the map they sent us, it's back 250 feet from the water, the structure. So shoreland doesn't really apply to this at all. Just the regular land use is my interpretation of it. So I guess I'd like to just hear from the Hendricks and the board, any concerns they have. This is just preliminary, whether we think it's something that's feasible to do. And they can go, I'd like to hear from them for a minute, just to see what they, I read their letters today that he had, and I see he's got a state permit for his road. He's got before we get into the lighting, the parking, when that comes up when the permit is actually presented to you, or the application, we can do that at another meeting. But basically, the abutters all seem to be family over there
For the most part, yes.
for the most part. Yeah, so
There's only one abutter who's not.
you don't. So I think the rule is around in South Thompson. I'm not sure if this would have to go to a public hearing, or at least advertise a public hearing for this over there, because there's kind of a change in use from, I guess, farmland to the wedding venue, building you want to build. So that's why I was asking how close the abutters are and stuff like that. The other questions, you got the road frontage, you got your entrance permit, all looks good, and you're going to meet with Mr. Meservey tomorrow for his.
Tomorrow at 1:30 to do the site
Okay.
site evaluation.
Do the planning board, I guess, is that something that we should view the site, or is there any interest in that with the planning board as well? Where it's going to go?
I'm familiar with the site. I drove by it today. It's easy to see off of the road.
Okay.
I'm happy to meet the group there if they feel like they want to see it, but for my part, I'm familiar with it.
You're happy. Yeah, I know the location as
I-
well.
I did attach some photos of the site to the
Right.
email I sent to Owen today.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's
people-
essentially clear field all the way down to a few trees along the Georges River shoreline, right?
Yeah, beautiful spot.
Yeah, it's a nice spot.
What else?
I have a question. Is it dry land the whole way, or is there a wet area in a section of it?
There's one small wet area. I don't think it's never been designated as any sort of wetland or anything like that, but there is one area that I know that Jeff Hargel never hazed because he gets stuck in it during the
Right.
winter.
Is there a road going there?
There is an old road that is, the right of way is owned by my sister, but we don't plan to build on that old road.
Right. The road that you're going to put in, that would cut through any wetlands?
None that are actually designated as official wetlands, but there is one wet spot where we'll probably end up having to put a
That's
culvert.
all one official, not the
Yeah.
unofficial.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just real quick screen share some of these photos that James sent.
So you can see the one, if you look at the middle of the picture where it's kind of not mowed, that's the one little wet spot of that property.
Right.
So
Other than that,
that's,
Fairly dry.
yep, that's one. And then let me,
Is your site planner, or anybody that you've talked to the state about the culvert installation, whether that be permit by rule or some other permitting, or maybe not need one at all?
So the only requirement I was given by the state for a road was to have the first 18 feet from the road be paved, and rather not completely flat, but at least flat enough so someone could pull up and pull out easily. Other than that, he didn't require we need a culvert, because he said the watershed would be easily shed onto our property, not into the state road. So that was the only requirement he gave. At least one of the excavation companies that I spoke with talked about doing a culvert in a couple different spots just to make sure that the road stays dry, and we divert water. But at least the state never said anything about permitting for culvert. So
Okay. And they just, I know we exchanged by email when you presented the information package, but just so it's, I say it to the group, you own, or you're developing on the back lot, which is 4-5, but 4-5 does include a 30-foot stretch of land that you'll build that 18-foot wide road on, correct?
right. So what we want to do prior to building is to, and I've started the process today, talking to a surveyor, is get a new survey, because I'm not sure if the property has ever been surveyed. I know that the deeds that I have are written from the original deeds of the property, which date back to like probably 1800s somewhere.
Mhm.
So they're cool, but they're not, the property's never been really surveyed. So we enlisted the Beal Survey in Rockland to do that for us. And what I want to do is combine the two lots into one contiguous lot and change ownership from what it is now into both my wife and I's name.
Okay,
And then
good. That was the other question that I had, because I did look at the
Yeah.
ownership records. You had deeded this to an LLC. Maybe, for whatever reason, not long after you took it yourself, James, and then, so you're gonna deed this back to your
Yes.
joint ownership of some sort?
So it'd be my wife and I. So what happened was when I was originally given that property, I was new in business and I'm in healthcare. And
Mhm.
at the time I was a sole proprietor. So it was I put it in the LLC to protect it from myself, actually, liability from my company. Because at the time I wasn't incorporated. So that's why I was put in the LLC. But what I'd like to do is take it out of that, since, then again, I've had these properties before my wife and I were married. So the idea is to combine 4-4 and 4-5 into one square property. And then
Yep.
put it into both our names.
Okay. Well, I'm sure the tax assessor can help you with that.
Yep, I
All
spoke with Owen. Yeah, I spoke with Owen today about that, as well as, and we, and I also spoke with Nathaniel Beal about doing the survey and sent over the preliminary information to him to take a look at too. So,
Yeah, I guess I conveyed this to you in the exchange, but I'll say it again here, is I just want to make sure that we don't allow development over something that in the future might not have access, right? So
correct.
whatever I guess if it's 2 lots at the time of development, my expectation with the road would be on that 30-foot stretch, flagpole, whatever there. If you do condense them before development, then I think that it would be, wherever
We
you
are
wanna put
planning
it.
on trying to build the road in that spot, like
Yep.
within the setback from the property, within that 30-foot right of way, but just to make things cleaner. And again, since both my wife and I are going to be equal partners in the project, to put the land in both our names and just have it
And
mainly for ownership, access, taxes, everything, but just kind of have it very clear and cut. So where its ownership is.
so you're gonna do underground power or overhead?
We're going to do underground power and cable for internet.
It's a long run.
Yes,
That's probably a big part of your budget.
about 1,200 feet.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
As far as
Yeah, I was just gonna say, the only other item that I really upfront, and I wanted to mention, is I did look at the soils map, and of course, the soils map is not a soil test by your licensed professional, whatever, but it is all hydric soils, so at least by the map again there. So I'm curious how they're going to size the system, and then what sort of technologies they're going to use to do the subsurface wastewater, just because I don't know. Again, based on the soil maps, it may not be a standard system.
The only information I've been given thus far is probably a fairly large tank
Yeah.
of 15 to 2,000 gallons, but I have no idea how many chambers they will recommend nor the size of the field. So hopefully we'll find more information about that tomorrow or
Yeah.
within, because Doug is going to design the septic for us.
And then you detailed it in your letter to the planning board, but other than, I guess, that first 18 feet, do you expect to pave any large areas of land? I'm thinking about stormwater, making impermeable surface and stormwater runoff and erosion, or is that?
So what we initially going to do, we're going to do hard packed gravel with a landscape fabric underneath, obviously so the road doesn't deteriorate. Ideally, aesthetically, we really don't want to pave because we think it looks more kind of like a country road if you maintain a dirt road. But yes, eventually it's always an option as the budget increases to pave the road. But honestly, I do think it would look maybe nicer not paved. It would be, I think it would blend more into the scenery of the field as a dirt or gravel. So that is our initial plan.
And the parking you were going to leave not paved, as I understand.
So the parking, we're going to do a gravel base, and then we're going to loam the top and plant grass. So it looks like it'll hopefully look like it's the field, and you wouldn't even know it's the parking lot. So, because the idea is that I didn't want to have like a big brown square spot in the middle of this beautiful field. So at least it'll
Yeah.
kind of. And the
Okay,
idea
so
is we would have a like either a cobbled walkway or short, the walkway from the parking lot to the venue.
All right. Those were all my questions based on reviewing the materials you provided. Anybody else?
Anybody else got any thoughts about the site as far as what Ryan brought up? As for myself, I don't think the right of way is an issue because that would be his peril, his liability if he, chooses to sell a piece of land and landlock himself by the shore. So I don't really think that would be an issue. I think he would maintain a right of way down through that. I would run with the land. Like I say, we'll have to see what Doug Meservy says on his septic design. Sure, Doug will make something that's top notch. And the other question you had about the paving, I think just the 18 feet is reasonable, to get back onto the road. So my concern now, I guess, is when he files the application, we could go down the checklist and check, for the lighting and parking and all that at the time he submits his plan, his application. As far as that goes, I think it's good to ask questions, but I don't think until something's actually finally submitted, we need to.
And like I said, we were mainly more trying to gauge, overall approval, the idea to move forward rather than, and it seems like we have a good idea. As far as the lighting, obviously we're willing to work with whatever the board wants as far as what you'd like to see or what would be approved. We haven't really.
Well, what it'll come down to, Jim, will be what kind of lighting you need lighting for your parking area.
Yeah.
Like say, like tonight, where it's dark, you might want a pole or two somewhere down there shining down. You may need we'll need how many employees you going to have there. It's like a long checklist of items. You might have already seen it.
We have not.
Go through. So that's something we need to get a look at that. And when you come to the board meeting with your application, we'll run down all those things with you.
Sure.
Yeah.
If that was online, I'd never seen it. So if Owen or someone could either.
Well, we had one for the gravel pit down that road, but we may have to adjust it just a little bit for more of a commercial operation. But we do have a checklist, and we I was looking for one today. I didn't have one at the house, but I can get a hold of one. I think somewhere. There's
Yes,
one
if
about.
Owen could send it to us, that would be excellent.
Yeah, that's what you need to see.
Yeah.
I have a question. I mean, something I was not clear when I was looking at your drawing of the building and the structure, where the bedrooms on the top. What are those? I mean, do you intend to have people sleep over there or?
Yes, we want the location to be sort of available for the wedding party. so that they can come and stay and they can get ready in the event building. So the apartment is, the idea is to just give them a place to be for the weekend where they can stay and be comfortable. So I'm hopeful that we can make that area the only area of the building that actually has a second floor, so that upstairs there can be some sleeping areas. Downstairs they can have their kitchen, not a commercial kitchen, just enough for the wedding party. And then 2 full baths, so that we could sort of separate it from a bride and a groom side, so that they can have their own privacy and have their wedding party participate with them getting ready or whatever, so that they don't have to get ready somewhere else and then come here for the event. They can actually come here and make it home for the weekend.
Sounds like a wonderful business.
Oh, thank you.
We're excited. It could be really fun. So
Yeah.
Just one quick question.
Sure.
Considering, I think you had said 12 people in each of the, in the bedroom areas. Sleeping accommodations for 12?
I think she meant between the 2 suites, like 6 on one side, 6 on the other. So
6 and
between
6,
bride and groom.
okay, not
Yeah.
24. I was
Yeah.
just wondering.
But
if-
no, that'd be a lot in
Yeah.
one little place.
That would be a lot. That and, a public bathroom as well. I'm just wondering the equivalency with regard to how many bedroom home would the septic system need to be to replicate what you folks have? But you're talking about
Yeah.
a dozen
Well,
people.
I thought it would be a sort of happy medium between, some wedding party sizes are huge. And so I figured if a bride can be happy with 6 of her bridesmaids being connected to her hip, which they always are, in weddings, the tighter the quarters, almost the better, because everyone is just loving on each other. So I figured that we would be, I have some creative ways to make like double-decker bunk beds and just a place for people to sleep. It's not going to be king-size beds for all 12 people, but on each side, there'll be room for 6 people to actually spend the night. And there'll be probably 1 queen-size bed. And I'm thinking of putting it in the bride's side, so just so that she has a little bit. And in some wedding parties, there's 2 brides, so I have to be careful. I want to make sure that everyone's comfortable on either side, but that I could separate them so that they could have their privacy and have the close connection of some of their wedding party members. So the sleeping arrangements, there'll be a pull-out trundle. I mean, there's going to be some clever ways to find places for people to sleep, but that area of the building probably won't be very big.
Mhm. You expect this to be predominantly a seasonal business, I would assume, but you expect to continue during the winter with other kinds of functions, and you had mentioned charity possibilities.
I mean, we'd like to. I know just from having grown up in the area and from what I'm hearing from family, there's a lack of available venues. For instance, I know that the Elks Club no longer rents to anyone but members and doesn't rent it out. And I know that Echo Hill is most definitely showing his age. So we ideally would like to make it, 3 to 4 seasons so that we can have events, whether or not people wanted to do a Christmas party or a local charity wanted to put on an event. Like I said, we're very open to working with local charities. We're both very involved currently with, say things like the Rotary Club and the Lions Club and things like that. We'd like to see it be that. I mean, initially, I'm sure it would be mostly seasonal weddings as we get going, but we would be even open if you wanted to have the town meeting at the barn, stuff like that. And so I think it could be a very good venue for people to have more than just a wedding, like a Christmas party or even say a corporate party for a company or something like that. So.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, it will be all weather. It will be constructed for all weather, so it won't be freezing in the winter. It'll be available for sure.
One thing I wanted. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Are you speaking over you?
No, go ahead.
I was just wondering, you mentioned you have one neighbor that is not family. Are they aware of the project? Have you approached them? Have they approached you? Are they aware of it?
I have not approached them yet. I don't know them very well. My sister does, just because they've been neighbors. They were neighbors of my father's for about 20 years. So, but no, I haven't talked to them yet.
Just kind of thinking ahead to whether, maybe
Yeah.
some opposition for you to overcome.
I mean, quite possibly, we understand that, so.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, we want to be a good neighbor. This isn't going to be a venue where at 12 o'clock, 1 in the morning, there's going to be loud music and partying. You know, we realize this is going to be blending into a residential neighborhood. We want to be aware of that, as well as be mindful of and being respectful of noise and our neighbors. You know, we want to be a good neighbor, not the jerks from Falmouth that used to be from South Thomaston that moved into the area and built the wedding barn. We want to make sure that we're good neighbors and we're good to the people, even though, again, yes, my family are most of my neighbors and they all seem very happy with the idea, but you know,
Sure.
the last thing I want is a call from my sister who lives next door to, you know, 1 in the morning telling me that there's a wild event at the barn or be quiet. So yeah, no, we really do want to work with our neighbors and make sure we are good neighbors and try to, you know, limit noise, you know, and lighting to a minimum, you know, to what's needed, but not yet be noise, you know, either noise pollution or light pollution on the property. So.
Yeah, we'll be having a curfew for,
Hours of operation will be part of the,
yes.
you know, to approval of the
Okay.
permit to do this.
Yep.
Things like that. But we'll you know, get with the code enforcement officer, get the checklist, go over the items, and we'll either make suggestions or whatever, give you our opinion at the time when you present your application.
That would be great.
So that's kind of how it works.
Mhm. The only thing that I was going to mention was that I don't know exactly the size of the number of people you're planning to have, but you might end up in a situation where you need to have plan review by a state fire agency for a place of assembly. That won't be Mo doing that review, but there might be state review of that. So just as you develop a site plan, making sure you have adequate emergency access and turnaround for emergency vehicles,
Okay,
as well as obviously all the building code stuff that's associated with that.
okay,
Yeah, I was gonna mention, so if you've got, for example, egress from your sleeping quarters, are things that you'll need to address in that. That's
Okay.
not us, because we don't have an adopted building code, but you're still subject to, you know, main statute, right? So, and the right
Okay.
thing to do, so.
That makes
Same
sense.
thing with wetlands, so putting in culverts and stuff, you're not, I mean, this is my understanding, but you're not in a shoreline zone, right? So you're not subject to our shoreline zoning.
We're not building in the shoreline zone now.
Yeah. So you're not subject to our shoreline zoning ordinance. That doesn't mean you're not subject to DEP regulation. So that was sort of what I was alluding. I can't tell you what you need to do. But yeah, my belief is you're not subject to, again, shoreline zoning. You're not in a resource protection district where you're asking to build or anything, but sort of like you're still subject to state fire code, you could still be subject to DEP, you know, regulation. Just a
Right.
heads up.
Anybody else have any further questions for Hendricks about this? And when, my question would be, when would you plan on submitting your application? And
So as soon as we can get, like I said, I'm waiting for quotes from 2 different excavation companies so I can get at least their quote and plan. And then really the bigger one is we are trying to get our draftsman to finalize. We asked them to put our plans together, so a more congruent plan from the barn company, but what else we want to do. And as well as we just got to wait for Doug to do the septic design.
Right.
So, I mean, as soon as possible, but again, thus far, we've already been working on some of this. For a few months.
So we plan another meeting, and I think there's probably another 30 days past that. So it would be good to, if you can give the code enforcement a timeline, she can get with me. We'll schedule another meeting.
So you guys typically meet monthly or as needed? How does that work?
We normally meet the 3rd week of the month.
Okay.
Okay, is the scheduled meeting, but I think if the board is here and they want to meet sooner or later, we can probably accommodate you you'd rather know sooner than later, you know, get your permit.
So if we're looking at 3rd week of the month, I'm just kind of looking ahead at December. I mean, I'd like to say we'd have everything by then, but being as slow as it's been thus far to nail down some of these people with, like, for instance, we had another Stoll guy lined up and then he bailed on me the day he was supposed to meet at the property. So, but he gave me Doug. So, and Doug
Yeah.
seems pretty cool. So he's going to meet me there
I've worked with
tomorrow.
him
But
before.
yeah,
Know
he
him.
seems like he's a pretty nice guy. And so,
The
um,
17th.
so I think I guess the third week in December will be the 17th. Could we tentatively plan by that date? We'll try to have as much finished as possible, and if we're not, and then we'll have to extend, I guess.
Postpone it, yeah.
Would that be okay?
That's a good goal to shoot for right now. Just gotta make sure the other board members can make it that night. That's, if they
And
want to
again,
go.
if it has to be a
before-
different night within that period, we're amenable to that. It doesn't have to be the exact date, but we'll try to shoot
Alright.
for the week
Okay,
if you're amenable with
get
that.
that scheduled. I don't think we have any other business coming up right away. I'll have to, from the code
It's
enforcement
not
officer.
that we're aware of.
None that we're aware of. So I think we can be a little flexible if you want to, if you can get your information together and
Okay.
get with the code enforcement, any questions, or then come to a meeting.
Okay,
And like I said, then we can kind of advise you one way or the other when you submit your application
okay.
to us.
That sounds good.
Will it be in the same format that we're doing tonight, or would it be in person?
I don't mind meeting in person, but other people some people can't. So I don't know if we have to do it the same way.
Okay.
Well, you
I
said.
prefer to meet in person myself.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and however folks want to do it is the way that they can do it in compliance with any executive orders from the governor, and the
that's right.
board has become really cautious as well. So as much as folks might want to meet in person, I would schedule it as Zoom, and we'll see where things go from there.
That's
Fine.
fine with us.
It's fine with me, Owen.
And I have one point before we adjourn. I wanted to ask Mo for her CEO's report, just like 2 metrics, if we could get them when we meet, assuming we do it monthly. I hope so. One is number of enforcement actions, and the other one would just be number of permits issued and by type of use. Just no details, just the numbers. If I could hear that in the CEO's report, I'd really appreciate it. Is that fair?
I definitely can do that. I actually already prepared that in my select board report, so I'll just forward the same info to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Just to give you a little history on that, Ryan, they used to do it at the planning board meetings, and then the select board, previous code enforcement officer, not John Snow, but Larry, he didn't give it to the selectmen, so they never quite knew what was going on, so it kind of switched to the selectmen.
Yeah, and I assume, if the really simple metrics, just to give me an idea of how much activity, I guess, is going on. And then also, I know if there's enforcement items we need to talk about, we'll talk about them as agenda items. So yeah, that's all.
That's a good plan. And I guess if there is anything else, we'll review the approval of the previous meetings. I don't know if there's any other questions for the Hendricks tonight? I don't have any.
Feel free. I know that Ryan and I were going back and forth by email. That's totally fine. If people have questions or comments, you can always email me. That's cool.
Okay.
Well, thanks for providing such clear information. You've been very open.
Oh, you're welcome.
That's really helpful.
Be as clear and upfront as we can with this process. So
Appreciate it.
Does December 17th at 6 o'clock, would you guys like me to schedule a Zoom time for that?
Yes, we can do that. That's fine
I'm
with
okay
me.
with that.
All in favor? Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
All right, perfect.
Yes.
I will get that done then.
And is there any other, when the previous meeting was, hasn't been one for quite a long time. So I don't know if there's any minutes that we need to review. We don't have anything?
I believe the previous meeting we were at and there was no quorum, so we just kind of hung out and talked.
Okay,
So I don't think you have any
that's not
minutes.
an official meeting. That's okay.
It wasn't official, I don't think.
Any public comment? Anybody from the public there? I guess not.
Nope. This is Owen. I'll put myself on real quick. So just I'm going to take a brief opportunity to let you all know that the select board has been looking at some of the documents, organizational documents, current bylaws for the planning board. They're continuing to just kind of look at them, and we wanted you all to get your feet under you before we asked for any sort of input on if you felt that the bylaws were still good and appropriate, and or if you wanted to make any changes to them. So nothing for tonight or anytime soon. But at some point, you know, we'll be kind of looking at some of those things and trying to get your all's input on whether you want to alter some of your bylaws. I think I sent those around to folks, and if I haven't, I can. Okay. So yeah, I'll send those around to everyone so that you can look at them and make some suggestions. And that was it for me.
Okay. We reschedule the next meeting. Is there any other business that we need to take up tonight? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Seconded, thirded.
All in favor? Okay. Anyways, and thank you very much, and thanks for the nomination for me for chairman. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. for
Thank
your
you,
Thank you
Aaron.
for doing
Thank
it.
you,
Very much.
Hendricks.
time.
Fuck.
Thanks,
Luck,
Mo.
guys.
Good luck.